DEVELOPE.
My name is Mayo. I'm a senior at Fairfield High School, and this is my interview with Live Prep Nation. But what made me interested in track was my 9th grade year at Spain Park. I didn't make the basketball team, so I didn't want to just sit around and not do anything at the school. So I went out for track, and the coach told me I had a natural born ability, and I just stuck with it and got better. What made me notice my ability in track was just the way I finished. Like, I always finish hard. You can tell the difference from the beginning of the race to when I'm ending the race. You can see a huge difference. It's like I'm a whole nother person when it's coming down towards the last part of a race. Well, I know that you can't go anywhere without education, so being that, I just try to stay on myself, but also my mom, my grandma stays on me, and my dad, he checks in from time to time to make sure I'm doing what I need to do. And also my coaches stay on me about my grades constantly. My biggest accomplishment thus far is when I made it to the state track meet my 10th grade year. I knew then that I had a great talent and I wanted to pursue it and become the best that I can be. The importance in being a leader is you have to always be on top of what you're doing. You can't lack off behind everybody else. You have to be on top every time. My strengths as a track athlete are mid-distance, as far as the 400-meter dash and the 200-meter dash. My long jump, I just started this year, but it's becoming a strength of mine. The 400-meter dash, that's my strength because you have to be very strong-willed and you have to have that endurance and stamina in that race. It's a very competitive race and I always want to win. I always want to win. My 9th grade year at Spain Park, I used to long jump, but I dropped it when I got to Fairfield. But as I thought about it and I realized how tall I was, how long I am, so I just wanted to put that to use to be able to help my team score points in the long jumping area. So I asked my coach to let me pick back up on long jumping, and I just took it from there. Use what I know to get what I'm doing now. I done my research on the schools that I would like to go to, and I could see that they really need help in the 400-meter dash area because my times are better than the guys' time that they have running now. And I have a whole lot of room to improve. I can improve because we will have better training facilities. Right now, at my high school, we practice with no track and no long jump pits or any kind of track and field facilities at all. So once I get the proper facility and the better training on the next level coaches, then I'll be a great asset. Well, I come out of my abilities after Usain Bolt because his takeoff is out of this world and his stride is what I look up to. I want to get my stride and takeoff as good as his. I see in him we're long, both of us are very long, so that's why I feel like I can match up to his ability. And our stride is kind of light, but I feel I need to work on mine a little bit more. And my takeoff, I want to model mine after his because my takeoff right now is not where I want it to be. Well, this year as the season has went through, I ran against two guys that I see that are pretty good. One name is Nigel Cribbs, who goes to Hoover High School, and the other name is Dunny, and he goes to Tuscaloosa County. Both of those guys are great. I love running against them. I feed off of them, and it pushes me and makes me do better in my event. Well, with Dunny, his endurance is out of this world. Like, he runs the 1600 meter, the 800 meter dash, the 400 meter dash, and he participates in the 1600 meter relay. and he does this all in one day. So I think that's his upside against everybody else, and he finishes hard just like me. With Nigel Creels from Hoover, his takeoff is he's the first out every time. Every time I've ran against him, he was the first one out. And he's short, but his advantage is he uses the back straight. Like most people relax on the back straight, but he pushes himself on the back straight and also on the last straight. So that's what gives him that push ahead of everybody else. My advantages over my opponents is I'm usually the tallest one in my heat every track meet that we run, and so that gives me advantage over everybody, really, my height. When the race first begins, I push myself on the first 100, the curve, which is that first 100-meter dash, which is really a full-out sprint, but I usually get ahead of everybody then, and I relax on the back straight, which helps me a lot. And then I start to pick it up at the beginning of the 200-meter dash and in between the 150 mark. His knowledge of track has really rubbed off on me. It's taught me a lot, and it's like when I'm out at practice, it's like I'm a coach too, because I know exactly what he's talking about, and I help my teammates that way. So sometimes I really just help him out at practice as far as coaching and helping people out with things that they need help on in their events.
Well, basically, like I said, when I first started dealing with Mayo, like I said, when he came to me in the 10th grade year, I pretty much gave him the same information that I knew from me previously running track in high school and as a collegiate athlete as well. And pretty much whatever I tell him, you know, is always yes sir, no sir, and it's always, you know, whatever you want me to do, and he always overachieves what I ask of him as an athlete, and even in academics. I mean, he just soaks everything in, and he just rolls with it from there. As a track star, most of his best strength is endurance. He runs the 400-meter dash, which that's his specialty, and also the long jump. And I think more so of his dedication of the sport. You know, at times that we know, even when we're at practice, where he's not only pushing himself, but he stays along with the team as well to push them to achieve more. You know what I mean? To be better athletes, and also in academics in the classroom as well.
Usually in most schools, if you're tall, they just throw you into the 400, not knowing the technique or anything of that nature. Like, you have no absolute knowledge about the 400. They just throw you in it because you're tall. But it's really a lot. You have to dedicate yourself to that race because it takes a lot out of you. Out of any other race, it takes a lot out of you. It's very high paced, it's very competitive. You have to have the technique and the form to run the 400. It's not one of those races that you can just run just because you're fast. You have to know the technique behind it and the form. Playing basketball, it gives you that speed, the endurance, because you run a lot at practice, so it ties in right with basketball. But it makes you mentally strong, because you never know how the coaching is, you never know how the game will go, so you have to be strong-minded when you're playing those two sports. You can't get too wrapped. In track, you have to be strong-minded, because as you're running, you'll see people in front of you and you'll start to get discouraged. But you just have to put it in your mind that the race isn't over until you cross that white line. So you have to keep pushing through, no matter who's in front of you.